Hi everyone, and welcome to my next tutorial where I'll be teaching you how to set up your virtual environments properly. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so basically what you want to do, which is my preference how I do it, you can decide how you want to do it. I always start off with a folder here on my desktop here. So I usually call this development or dev, so I just like to call, for example, it development. Okay. Then what you can do, of course, is just cmd. So you can just type cmd here for your command prompt. So this is like our terminal. And what you want to do is you want to head over to your development folder. So you can just say cd desktop first, so that we're here on the desktop. And you can go straight there and you can say cd development. Okay, so cd basically means change directory. So we're moving from where we are. Okay. Now, I know a lot of you probably will understand this. I know it's very beginner oriented, but a lot of people, you'll be surprised, get it wrong, and it took me a long time to figure this out. So I just want to teach you not just was creating the virtual environment, but also to understand the whole structure so that you understand the difference between installing packages globally and locally within your virtual environment. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Okay, so let's create our virtual environment. So to do that, you need to say pip install virtual env. Okay, now we're not in a virtual environment, so when we install this, it's going to appear globally. So if I go ahead and install that, let's install that package. All right, so it's already installed. So if I were to type in pip list, okay, so if I type pip list in, it's going to show me all of the packages that I have globally on my system. Okay, so these are all the global packages that I have. Okay, so that is the difference here. And here we can see we installed pip install virtual env here. So that is literally what we just installed. Okay, so to make it clearer for you guys, what I can do here is say pip uninstall. What was it? Virtual env, just for the moment. So I'm going to install this globally. Okay, so it's going to take it at this location, which is global. I'm going to say yes. Now I want to say pip list, and let's see if it's there. And we can see here our virtual env is not there. So we have this virtual env clone, but that's something else. But our virtual env, which I showed you earlier, is now gone. All right, so that is globally installing something. So this is what we're doing here. We're globally installing a package. Okay, so let's reinstall it. Okay, and there we go. So if we say pip list now, okay, we can now see virtual env here. Okay, so this is installing a package globally. Okay, so we're in our development folder here, and it's best to create a virtual environment folder separate from your project. That's just how I do it. So what you can do here is you can run virtual env. Okay, now the only package that you should install globally is your virtual env package that I installed earlier on. From now on, you should make sure all your packages are installed within a virtual environment, and that's what we're doing now. We're creating a virtual environment in our development folder. And I'm going to call this venv2. Okay, I'm just going to call it that. You can name this anything that you'd like. So I'm just going to name it venv2. Okay, and there we go, it's been installed. Now you want to actually go ahead and activate it. So to do that, you'll reference your virtual environment name that you called it. So I called it venv2. So I'm going to say venv2 /scripts /activate. Okay, and now we can see we're in our virtual environment within our virtual environment here. So if I were to say pip list, okay, it's only going to show a few packages. Okay, now these are all the local packages that we'll see. The first time that you run this command, it does take a bit of a moment to load. So let's just wait for that. And there we go. So these are all the packages that we have within this virtual environment here, all of our packages. Now, if we disable it, we need to reference it by the virtual environment here. So it's called venv2 /scripts /deactivate. And now we're out of it. Now, if we say pip list now, we're looking at all the global packages outside of this virtual environment. So let's run this. And here are all the global packages. So you can see the difference here. All the packages in our virtual environment and all the packages in our global environment. Okay, so it's much cleaner and better to utilize this virtual environment here as we see than to utilize it this way. Okay, so this CLS command that I've been using is used to clear our terminal or clear our console. Okay, now let's go ahead and create our Django project. So before we do that, we need to actually install Django. Now let's go into our virtual environment. Make sure you activate it. Okay, so you activated it, and just open this folder. I just want to show you something. We can now see we have a virtual env folder here, a virtual environment folder. So now we're going to install Django. Okay. Okay, let's install Django. And we're installing this in our virtual environment. So we need to always make sure whenever we install a package that we install it in a virtual environment, because if we don't do that, it's going to be globally globally installed on our system, and I'm going to show you that again. Now I know some of you are probably wondering, I'm going on this again and again, and the important thing is that you do learn by repetition. This is just one way to learn, and I find it very effective to learn it this way by giving you guys extra practice by doing this again and again, because then you'll understand the concept on a more finer note. Right, so let's just wait for this to install. So this is going to take maybe a while, so I'm just going to pause the video. Oh, I spoke too soon again. Okay, so now it's installed. So clear this up, and let's say pip list now, and let's see what packages are in our virtual environment. Okay, so we have Django here, and by installing the Django package, we are also greeted with other packages that come part with Django. Bear that in mind. So sometimes you can install one package and see other packages here, and they are all part of the one package. So kind of see it as one package with smaller sub packages that appear here. Okay, so we have Django, and that's what we installed. Now, if we were to exit this virtual environment, so let's deactivate it, and we were to say pip list, you'll notice that Django was not installed globally here. Okay, because we were in our virtual environment. To install it globally, we must make sure we're not in a virtual environment. But I don't want to do this because this is bad practice, so don't go ahead and install packages globally. Make sure you do it in a virtual environment. And again, to make sure that it's active, okay, make sure that you see this name of your virtual environment that you created was in parentheses. Okay. Now what you want to do now is in your development folder, create your Django project. So I usually like to do it side by side to my virtual environment. So I'm going to say Django admin start project. And I'm going to say kind of Minx. That's going to be the name of my project. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So if I were to open this development folder, okay, I have my Django project folder and my virtual environment. And another tip I'm going to give you, make sure you don't move your virtual environment because it is kind of hard coded. So make sure you don't move it because trust me, this can cause you a whole lot of trouble. I remember when I was working with virtual environments, I made the mistake of moving it around and I was wondering what on earth is going on, and which led to me having to delete the virtual environment and start all over. So make sure you don't move it where you set it. It's best to keep it with where it is. Okay. All right, so let's do the next part. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to test and run our server. So what we're going to do here is just run the following. So python manage.py run server. Okay, so you'll see it's not working properly, and the reason for that is because we actually need to be in our project. So we need to say cd and the name of our project, which is called Minx, before we can run this. So here we're going to run it. And here we go. And it's working fine. Now let's say for argument's sake, we deleted that Django package. So let's say I say pip uninstall a Django with my virtual environment active. So go ahead and do that. Okay, let's deactivate it. And what's going to happen is it's going to show us the location of our virtual environment. Once it deletes it, of course. And we can see here, there is the path to our virtual environment here. And that correlates to this location here. So let's say yes. Okay, let's just wait for that to finish up. Okay, so now let's run python manage.py, run server, and you'll notice it doesn't work, okay? Because we can see here, we did not import Django. We do not have a Django package because we removed it from our virtual environment. So if we say pip list, you can see Django's gone. But if we reinstall it, was in this virtual environment. Okay, so let's install it again. Okay, it's installing. What we're going to do once it's installed is actually run this again, and we're going to see if it works this time. So a very important note as well that I mentioned earlier, make sure whenever you install a package in Django that you install it within your virtual environment. Now it's okay if you want to for your first time install virtual env and Django globally, but I wouldn't recommend any more packages to be installed globally. I mean, technically you shouldn't install Django globally either. You should rather install it within your virtual environment, but I know people that do it that way. But here we go. Okay, let's say pip list now, and let's have a look. Okay, Django's there. Run our server. Perfect. Let's see if this works. Perfect. So it's working good, and we will be able to access our development server at the following URL. Okay. Perfect. So what I also want to show you now is making sure that you set your Python interpreter correctly. So what I mean by this is, for example, open your text editor. So in this case, I'm using Visual Studio Code. So just open that up. Okay. And it should automatically see that your project is up and running. But if not, just say File, Open Folder. And you just want to open your folder here. And in your development folder, you should have your Django project and your virtual environment here. Okay. Now there are a few packages down the line, okay, that aren't going to work properly. Now for the most case, you're not going to have issues, but just in case you have issues, it's best to set the Python interpreter. Now to do this, you need to on your keyboard press Control, Shift and P at the same time. So Control, Shift and P. And then you want to click here on this Python Select Interpreter. Okay. And you'll see there's a lot of different paths here that I have, a lot of different virtual environments. So we want to set the path accordingly. Okay, so to do that, open your folder here, go in venv2, click here and copy that path. So you can say Control C, head over here, head back, and on this plus icon that says enter interpreter path, this whole bar here, you want to click on that. And here where it says enter path to a Python interpreter, just go ahead and say Control V now, so copy and paste, and just press enter. Okay, just going to close this, and everything should be set good. So if we say Control, Shift and P now, select interpreter, we'll now be able to see the environment that we have set here. Okay, so this is very helpful and important to bear in mind, so make sure you set that up as well. All right, right. So what we're going to do now is just run our server now. So go ahead and do that. So run the server. Okay, it's running. And let's just, for argument's sake, test out the server. And there we go. Good as new. All right, guys, so that's it. So a bit more in detail over virtual environments. All right, guys, so that's it. So I hope it helped you, and just a little bit more in detail of an in-detailed analysis over virtual environments, just so you get it right your first time. All right, so that's it, guys. Thank you so much.